Okay. This is the third principle in how to achieve mastery. And what I was doing here was actually having just 3 chords. Actually 4 chords. There's a little we've got D minor 7, then we've got a G dominant 7, and a C major, like a 2-5-1 progression in jazz. And then I got like a diminished chord just before leading up to the 2 again. Right? And what I was doing was I was using the C major scale, because we're in the key of C major. All chords derive from that. And then I was playing the arpeggios within that scale. Right? There are 7 different arpeggios in 5 different positions or 7 different positions on the neck. It's ridiculous, right? There's so many things to learn. And I was throwing in the diminished. And because I know the arpeggios, I can kind of illustrate the chord progression in what I play. So I could play. That's the 2, the D minor. I'm focused on the notes of the chord. And then we got the dominant, the G7. Right? And then the C major 7. Right? That I can. And then with the diminished. Right? This took a little bit of a while to learn, but it's such a pleasure just playing around with the chords. So how do we get there? Just in one area like that? Well, we get there by using the principles. Right? Somebody would say, practice, practice, practice. Right? Well, yeah, you can go ahead and do that, like, just giving plants water and thinking that will do the trick. Right? For some, actually, it does the trick, but most of us need a more intelligent strategy, and I sure do, because I have 0 talent when it comes to guitar playing. How can you say something like that, Claus? You have lots of talent. I have none. This was hard in the beginning until I followed these principles. And I'm not selling the principles here, or I am, but this really works. It does. It is the thing to focus on if you want rapid progress. First video, we talked about the 80-20 rule. Please go back and watch that if you haven't already. 80-20, what to focus on to get massive results. The next one, we focused on the principle of mass, of concentrating your powers at a small enough area, an important area, a central area that we pick by using the 80-20 rule. Sorry. And in this video, we're going to talk about having an aim. And that sounds boring, an aim. I want to become very good at playing guitar, Claus. That's my aim. That's my goal. That's my whole purpose, right? But we need to select a specific aim, a specific goal that we can measure, that we can look at, and we know when we have achieved it. So now we use the 80-20 rule to find out what, because we all know we want to master this instrument, right? But that looks in very different ways. And so we have the 80-20 rule to select what would mean the most to our development. And then we got the principle of mass to disintegrate that challenge, making it small enough for us to absolutely achieve mastery of it. But where does it go? And how is this important? Because most people say, yeah, you gotta have goals in life in order to achieve anything. And we need to have specific measurable goals when it comes to guitar playing. But it's the whole difference. It's the difference between the guy who just picks up his guitar and starts practicing something, right? Yeah, I got this song, it's got 8 chords instead of 6, that's the next level for me, I got this, whatever. And then we just start practicing. We just think of guitar practicing as something you learn to play the guitar. You learn to solo, right? It's just a general thing. But what specifically are you working on that you can measure? And why is this important? Most people say, I'm not motivated, Claus. I'm not enthusiastic about what I do. Well, that doesn't come from some magical source above you. It comes from you. It comes from setting up your psyche for enthusiasm, motivation, for passion. Where does those things come from? It comes from the game. What are people the most passionate about? Just go to any soccer game, go to any football game, go to any game, and people are out of their minds with passion and enthusiasm over what? Over kicking a ball around or throwing a ball around or whatever it is that there's, it's ridiculous. If you came from Mars and you've been living there all your life, and you're a Martian, and you look at that species, the human species, and say, what are they so excited about? People go around every day, boom, 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 going about their duties and their job and whatever, and then suddenly they go into this arena, and something quite non-spectacular happens. People kicking a ball around or some playing a game, and we go berserk, right? That is a resource within you to tap into that. And if you tap into that on a regular basis, then you will be motivated. You will be enthusiastic. Not just about playing guitar, but about the game of learning it. And how do you set up that game? Well, just look at any game. What elements are in the game? Well, first of all, we need a target, right? And in sports, that is so measurable. We know exactly when we've won, right? If we got more goals than the opponent, then we've won, period, right? Okay, so what else is there? There are rules, right? There's something we must do. There's a time perspective to it. How much time and when does it stop? There are rules as to what you must do and what you can't do. There's tons of rules, and there's a playing field that has borderlines and perimeters that you can't cross, because then you cross one of the rules, and it's to stay within the whole playing field there, right? So, and the first thing we need, because we can play football, we can do anything, we can kick the ball around, but until you have, it's about something. Until you have a goal, until you start counting your scores, where are we? How many goals did we score? How are we doing in relationship to the very measurable goal of the whole batch, right? If that is not there, then nothing is. There's no game. There's just kicking the ball around. It's like in life, right? Some people say, well, is life about winning? No, but sure is fun if we pretend it is, right? If we pretend that life is about getting guitar results and we have specific measurable results, so the brain knows when we are winning, then the whole mechanic of games come into existence in our body, and that is emotions like enthusiasm, motivation, and just sheer acting power. The power to act on your goals. Right? So you might have an overall idea of where you want to go. You might have a favorite guitar player that you want to play like. You might have all kinds of images like that. But between that image and you should be a game of achieving some goal that is in between, bringing you or moving you towards that end, that vision, you could call it, right? Because it's something you see in your mind. You see yourself playing, or you feel yourself playing like that guy. And that intermediate step is producing in your mind a measurable goal. And what have we been doing? We've been selecting 80-20 rule, selecting the most important area, overwhelming that with power, and then we measure our progress towards a goal. When you have a goal, you have that feeling of a result. And people never get that when they practice under normal circumstances. We just practice and we become incrementally a little bit better every day. So we never really... It's never like, yay, I won. Won what, right? Because it's like seeing your family grow up. If you're with them, it seems like they have the same size, But if you haven't seen them for 6 months, it's like, whoa, you've grown, right? And it's the same thing here. If you have measurable goals, like winning a match, like more goals than the opponent, or you got like, okay, I got these 2 rhythm exercises that we talked about in the last video, and I want to bring them to a level where the metronome is at 120 beats per minute and I play whatever it is. I want to get to that goal. It might not be your ultimate goal, but it's a specific, measurable goal that you're working on, right? Because then you know when you've won. And you can say what happens in the brain is the most amazing thing once you start moving like this, because then you prove to yourself that you can make progress. Most people make, quite some progress during a year, even though they're practicing haphazardly. Some improvement happens, but they don't feel it. They don't see it. So they tell me stuff like, I've been practicing for 30 years without getting better. Right? Even though you're practicing in the most inefficient way, you have been getting better, but you just don't notice because it's incremental little improvements. Once you have a goal, and you're measuring your progress, you know exactly how many times you've been playing it during the day, and you know exactly where you are in relation to that specific measurable goal, and you then achieve it, then the brain says, wow, all our effort is really for something. Why? does it matter if you achieve the goal? Yes, apparently it does to the brain, since it's willing to go nuts on the playing field of any football match, right? So you have to push the button of playing a game inside of you. That's what brings you all the way. When you push that button by creating a specific measurable goal, and all the words in that sentence are very important, a specific, I want to know exactly what we're talking about. And it's measurable. You put a number to it, right? And then you say, how much time do I need to achieve this goal? And then you say, okay, what am I going to do to achieve it? And then you do the thing. Twice as, you punch through. You go to a point beyond what you think is necessary to reach that measurable specific goal. You overpower it, right, with actions. Then what happens is, instead of practicing in multiple areas of guitar playing, you have one single focus. And then you use the multiple areas for the 20% of the time where you get too, fed up with playing the same 2 rhythm exercises over and over again, right? But then you push through by using 80% of your time or 75% of your time. You win through. You go, yes, I achieved it. You put up a new goal. And it becomes like, to here, to there. You know exactly what you're doing. You put in the repetitions. You count the repetitions. And every single time you've been practicing, I got 2,000 more repetitions in that exercise. Instead of just practicing. I've been practicing for an hour. Yeah, but what did you really do during that hour? Did you just play guitar? Or did you really specifically practice something over and over again? Like thousands of repetitions in order to train it into your nervous system. Is that what you did? Then we can say you practiced for an hour, but it's much more productive to count the repetitions. How do I do that? Is it 1, 2, 3, Yeah, you figure out, okay, at what tempo am I practicing this, right? Oh. How many times during any minute would I play this at my top speed or the speed at which I'm practicing? And then you say, okay, I've been practicing for an hour, and on average, I repeat that 100 times a minute or 10 times a minute, whatever it is. Then you times that up, and you write down how many times did I do that, right? How many times did I repeat the same pattern over and over again? And that becomes like, that's a result, right? Instead of just have been playing guitar, practicing whatever for an hour, I'm talking about myself here mostly, right? Like I used to practice. Instead of having that feeling, so that was an hour of practicing, that was 2,000 reps, man. How could I do 3,000 tomorrow? And then you get greedy, right? You get greedy and you get enthusiastic and passionate. Wow, maybe I could do 10,000 in 2 days if I really, hit the nail there, if I really go for it, right? Like we talked about in the last video, if you had a gun to your head, what would you do if you had to achieve 10,000 reps in 2 days? Right, and then you get greedy. You start practicing more and more and getting it in all kinds of, and practicing without your instrument. You get passionate about it because you engage in a game of achieving a specific measurable result. It pushes all kinds of buttons within you. But if you don't engage in a game, you engage in dabbling. There are no other choices. It's either or. Either you have a specific measurable goal, you are overwhelming that little goal with actions, and you are getting results on a regular basis that you can be satisfied with and enthusiastic about, and you'll prove to your brain that you really can make progress, which makes it willing to infuse your whole body with even more hormones that makes you passionate, right? Which is just chemicals running through your bloodstream, basically. So it becomes a never-ending circle of improvement where you get results that you really feel because you determined where you wanted to go with something manageable that you can overwhelm with repetitions. You went there, you succeeded, you created a new goal, and you continue like that. It just makes the biggest difference, right? And if that area that you're practicing in that way is an area that fits within the 80-20 rule, so you get a maximum amount of impact from mastering that area. And, you use the other principle as well, right? The principle of mass and really overwhelm it with power, so you make sure you actually get your result. Because remember, from the second principle, you don't want to focus on a result that you're not 1,000% sure that you can manage to overwhelm and achieve in a period of time that is inspiring. Not 5 years, but maybe 5 days or, 4 weeks. So if you do this, you become better and better at playing the game. That's what happened to me. And I just became more and more greedy on new results and focus. And I was just building like crazy and just, winning and winning and winning, right? Winning every match because I created the match. I created the rules. I created the goal. What is it about? It's about this. How can I then install the rituals, the routines every day that will absolutely bring me to my result? So I got really certain within because I said, okay, I got a specific result here. I want to play this. Right? Very tiny little thing. Exercise, whatever. Or right, it's a complex 5/7/5, whatever. Steve Vai little composition, the attitude song that I used to practice like a maniac, and that taught me a lot about rhythm, right? Because it's just outside of what we normally play. But once you do that, and you know for sure that you are actually going to achieve it, you're 1,000% sure because you not only have the result, you know exactly what to do, you also know when to do it every day. You know exactly the rituals that's going to make sure that you actually achieve your result. This becomes so easy suddenly, right? It becomes like, okay, I got this one thing. I know I can do X number of repetitions every hour or every minute. And I will put in my rituals. I would say morning, noon, and evening. I would say every time I go from the table, eating with my family or dining with my family, I will go practice for 1 hour. Everybody knows this, right? Oh, after doing the dishes, right? Listening to the session again, headphones on, right? Repetition. Then once I've done that, I know I'm going to hit the practice. And in the weekend, I've got carved out like 6 hours for myself. The family knows that I'm trying to achieve this goal. And afterwards, I'll take them for a weekend somewhere, whatever, right? So you have a plan. And that plan is basically rituals. It's habits. It's things you do every single day. And then you can easily measure. And those rituals are, of course, an overwhelming of the actual result. So there's much more in there than you really think you need. You punch through. You got twice as many repetitions lined up through the 4 weeks as you think you need or feel that you need, right? Instead of, okay, so I have to do this 10,000 times and I do it like 100 times every whatever, and then you times that up and say, well, what do I need? And then you double that, right? So you're sure that you're not going to go, oh, I'm frustrated I didn't achieve what I wanted. But that's like trying to hit a board and break it without hitting beyond it. It's going to hurt your hand. And if you don't go beyond and you settle in and say, okay, I know I need at least 2,000 repetitions here before I can play this thing, then I go for 4,000. Oh, but that takes a little bit longer because I only have 2 hours if I practice in the morning, in the afternoon, on average a day, even though then I only have 2 hours, so there's not enough. Then just accept the fact that you have to carve out 6 weeks for this result only. And then expect the result after 6 weeks. After doubling what you think it takes. Then that's a way out of frustration. You have a specific measurable result and you're overwhelmed with power. So you expect to achieve it. Now you're set up, you're certain inside, and you're passionate and enthusiastic because you know you can win, right? And you know the point that you're focusing on will mean a ton to the rest of your development. It's got rhythm in it. It's got picking. So you're also practicing your alternate picking skills, your precision, whatever it is. All right? This is so important because just think about if you apply the 80-20 rule every single day or every time you think about what to practice, if you apply the principle of concentrated effort or mass to your practice and overwhelm the actions or overwhelm the results or the exercises you want to do, and you apply the third principle here of knowing exactly your target result, and you measure every step of the way. You punch beyond what you thought was, like in the principle of mass, you punch beyond what you think it takes. You line it up. You define your rituals. You make sure you can't forget your rituals by putting up post-it notes or reminders in your iPhone, iPad, Android device, whatever. It should be impossible for you to forget not to do it. You might follow your plan 100% or 90% or 50%. Doesn't matter. Next time you try and see if you can improve on that, right? But if you do these 3 things, I promise you, you practicing will be a totally different image. People will look at you and think, what are you doing, right? Don't you want to become good at playing guitar? Yeah, I do. But why aren't you doing like all the other people? Oh, the other people out there where 90% gives up and the rest, the 10% that are left, will never really achieve anything that they're satisfied with. They'll always be on an intermediate level. that group of people, I'm not doing the same thing as them. Is it any wonder? Maybe I have higher expectations for myself and where I want to go, right? And if I can't see your actions are different from everyone else, then you're going to achieve the same results that everyone else is achieving. It's just the way it is. So focus on these 3 principles. And I should say, in our upcoming very special and unique thing that we're launching here on Friday, we are taking in these principles when we're guiding you exactly to what to practice. We're developing these rituals. We're asking you a ton of questions and really looking into your playing and figuring out what you need in order to make the most progress possible in the shortest period of time. Like a plant, giving you just the right amount of nutrients with the living conditions you have, giving you just the right amount of water, giving you just the right temperature. At least that's where we want to go, right? We can never get it perfect, but we can push towards that standard where you can, with your life and everything in it, can get to that point where you develop the fastest way possible for you, like a tree standing somewhere in the garden. Maybe it doesn't have enough sun to become as big as it could if it were out in the sun, but once it's high enough, it will get the sun because it will be higher than the trees around them, whatever, right? We want to focus on where are you and then get the most out of what you can do. And why would we do that, right? Because it's the most fun. We want to play for real. We want to have a game that satisfies us, makes us so enthusiastic, makes us get real, measurable, very visible results that we can celebrate. And that passion and enthusiasm for practicing and playing and becoming better and actually seeing that I can get to that level of mastery. I can get to where I thought was not possible, right? That enthusiasm and passion that comes from that from proving that you can do it by having specific results that you achieve all the time, that is going to shine into the rest of your life, into your relationships with other people, into your relationship with yourself. And in that way, your ambition, your goal to become the musician you want to become becomes just, life enhancing in the greatest of ways. Hallelujah. So see you in the last principle tomorrow. That will just completely give you an explosive cocktail that if you apply all 4 principles and practice applying them every single day, every single week and month, then you will get explosive results. So see you in tomorrow's video. Can't wait to get there.